latchkey kid is a term that was coined in the 40s because parents who worked late had to leave their kid the key to the door to get in the house after school. And sometimes I guess they would wear them around their neck, so you knew the neighborhood latchkey kids. They would just wear a key on like a string around their neck, which is basically telling pedophiles, hey, my parents aren't going to be home for a while. Come on in. Today, fellow latchkey kid and stand-up comedian Joe Fernandes is on the show, and this is a bit too much. My parents are immigrants, right? They're both from Sicily. And they, you know, there's like I feel like the things when your parents are immigrants, it means like, one, they don't want to see you smile too much, and two, like you're not allowed to have fun like 2 days in a row. And then the other thing is like they work a lot. Right?
Yeah,
'Cause they're here. That's why they came here.
You can't have fun 2 days in a row.
2 days, no,
that's
yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah, my dad would go. I'd go. Can I go to Mike's house? He'd go, yeah. And then the next day I go, can I go to Mike's house? He'd go, no. And I go, well, why not? I went there yesterday. He goes, because you went there yesterday. And then I'm like, well, why can't I go? And he goes, because I'm your father. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that has to do with me going to Mike's house. But it's just like a thing. Like I said yes yesterday. I'm going to spoil. I think it's a thing of like, you don't want your kids to get spoiled.
You just
like,
want to show
my
dominance.
kid's American. He doesn't understand what it's like. I can't let him be too American and get spoiled.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's what it is.
Yeah, or just a dominant, like, I rule this family. And
right. Yeah, there's a little bit of a Mussolini thing going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like I make the rules.
Yeah, why? Because I said so.
Because I said so. My father's version was because I'm your father. I'm like, I don't understand what you being. I knew that. Thanks for the check-in. Like, I don't know what that has to do with anything.
Wait, then who's the other guy?
This guy mom's always around.
Yeah, if you're the dad, who's the other guy I'm calling dad?
Or who's the guy that yesterday said, yes, you could have fun?
Yeah.
You know? So I'd come home. My parents worked a lot. Come home after school. And I mean, I now as a dad, I think about, I'm like, I couldn't imagine my kid coming home without me there at a certain age. Your kids, first of all, kids can burn your house down. Like unattended kids. You know what I mean? Like me and my brother would just be in the house, like cooking when we're at an age where we weren't supposed to be using fire, you know? Yeah. And we would just fucking break everything in the house because we were two fucking wild asshole boys.
Yeah.
And we would cut, and my parents would come home and find the house a disaster. But what could they do about it? They were working, they were working. Right. And then the other side of it is they had no idea what we were doing out, in the neighborhood, which we were. Me and my friends were, a lot of us were in the same position where our parents weren't home. They weren't going to be home until after work, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, so we were just like causing fucking trouble in like Queens, walking around like lighting shit on fire.
Yeah, lighting shit on fire.
It's fun.
I mean, do kids light stuff on fire like we used to? I wonder that because
do they now light
like
stuff
we
on
used
fire?
to just? I remember going to my buddy Mark's house, and we would just be in his garage looking for any liquid that would say flammable. Right. Mix it all together. Yeah. Go in the woods in his backyard, throw it across, and just start forest fires. Right. And, I mean, they used to be contained fires. Like we'd put them in a little bucket. But then one time we actually set woods on fire, and we watched the fire department come. We're like, this got out of hand.
Yeah, we one time. This is terrible. Me and my friends used to get fireworks from in the 90s. If you got your hands on fireworks in New York, this is like pre Giuliani going all the mob selling fireworks. Let's ban fireworks. So we just have there was just fireworks all the time.
I remember I used to take the bus in from Jersey as a middle schooler. Now back then
into New York.
Into New York, we used to go into Chinatown, Little Italy to get fireworks.
Right.
And back then I wasn't watching mob movies. I didn't know what the mob was. Right. But I remember this distinct one time, this young Italian kid in a wife beater shirt. It's like, you guys want fireworks? And we go, yeah. And he takes us down into this room, and there's all these old Italian men. Yeah. And they sold us dynamite, half sticks of dynamite.
M80s or whatever.
M80s, but real dynamite. We bought dynamite. We had
You're selling kids dynamite.
Right. But not until I got older and started watching mob movies that I realized I bought from the mob, because you start watching these movies and you're like, oh, oh my God. As a kid, you're naive.
The mob is like a guy with a suit.
I didn't even know
and he's eating a lot of spaghetti.
I didn't even know what the mob was.
You didn't know.
It wasn't. I grew up in an Italian house, but they didn't talk about the mafia to us if they were talking about it.
Oh, that's the difference. We
but
we were surrounded by the mob.
Well, there was, because like in hindsight, you always see things like my mom's Uncle Ralph would come by like Christmas time with like a whole thing of dresses or coats or something, like out of a truck, like. Right. Her cousin Literally, Ricky would pull up with a truck and it was like toys and bikes and bags. Like, just go grab something. And as a kid, you're just like, these guys rule.
They're so nice.
But you have no idea that they were actual criminals. Like, you have no idea till I start watching Donnie Brasco and Goodfellas.
And then you hear the term like fell off the truck and you're like, oh, no, that's a real thing. There's a truck. There's a real truck.
Yeah.
that shit.
Like my family, relatives of mine weren't in the mafia, but I think they
they're mob adjacent.
Right, probably did some work with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they gave someone something.
They weren't the guys; they were the guys or something.
They might have had a hold. You got to hold on to something for a while. Keep something in your basement for a little bit.
Oh yeah. One of them went to jail for counterfeiting.
Yeah. But the fireworks in the '90s were a real thing because you could just be a kid lighting fireworks and the cops would be like, "Be careful." That's what they would say. The big, just don't do that. If you had firecrackers, like little stupid shit.
Yeah.
The dynamite sticks are where it. So we one time we had this whole thing where we'd go to pet shops and buy rats.
And blow up the rats?
Yes.
I thought you were gonna get
no, that is what happened,
on
but
me.
not for that purpose. One time we put a rat in our friend's mailbox. Just so that when they open the mailbox, just the idea.
Just the rat's in there?
There's just a rat in the mailbox. That was funny to us.
It's funny. I just never even thought of that.
If you open your mailbox.
So what did you do with the rat after? He just on his own then?
Just leave it there.
That's it? Now he's...
Yeah. Well, I think we liberated him.
You liberated him.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So
I guess if he was a Queen's cat rat when they got him, he's like, finally I'm home. Yeah, but what if he was just a nice country rat and now he's in Queens with all these
pigeons
with all these Italian mook rats in the sewer
just fucking scarred, all fucked up rats.
Look at this guy over here.
Every rat's pizza rat.
Yeah.
But we would if you open your mailbox and you see a rat in it, would you think somebody put this rat in here? You might be like, holy shit, a rat got in my mailbox. I think I would think, oh shit, how did a rat get in my mailbox? I wouldn't even think some fucking kids, because I would imagine it wasn't even our friend that opened the mailbox, probably the parents.
Yeah.
Someone lost their fucking mind and saw a rat in their mailbox.
That's insane.
So there was another time, going back to the fireworks, where one friend was a pyro and he was real fucking off, and we had fireworks, he had the rat, he put those ideas together, and he wrapped the fucking box with a rat. He killed the rat. He wrapped
you said he wrapped the box with the rats.
Oh yeah, with the fireworks. So he had a rat inside of a box that it comes from.
I'm just picturing you wrapping a rat around the box.
Yeah, they don't hold. It's not the best
that's
thing to tie a box with. And he wrapped fireworks around, firecrackers around the box.
And he blew up the rat.
And he threw it in. So in the part of Queens I grew up, there were these marshlands. It was everyone called them the weeds. And he threw it in there, and he did it, and killed them. So we all were standing back, we don't watch this fucking rat blow up. But then he burned down the weeds. Then a fire started, and the fire department had to come. It was dangerously close to houses. It got contained, but this fucking fire raged on for 12 hours. Yeah. They couldn't contain it. And those are the friends I grew up with. That's what we did in the neighborhood.
That's the worst thing you blew up with fireworks, was the rat in the box?
With fireworks, yeah. I mean, honestly, the worst part about it was just that, if somebody had a dynamite stick, you always had that one kid fucking throw it.
Oh, what's the most amazing thing you blew up? Anything amazing?
I mean, probably, windows out of a car, throwing dynamite, not really intending to do that, but throwing a dynamite stick and not understanding it's a dynamite stick, and it just fucking shatters windows all around.
We blew up one of those blue postal things you put your mail in, those big.
A
big mailbox, yeah.
The actual...
the ones that were on the corner where you... remember there used to be in every neighborhood?
Yeah.
Even in a suburban neighborhood, you have that at the end of the street.
At the end of every street.
And we threw it in and ran across into my girlfriend's house and watched mail explode all over the street. It was just... All it was... I guess there's a square door on the back and just a big... Just mail.
That's going to sound insane, dude. The metal... Like
Bro,
the dynamite going off.
We had no idea back then that was like a federal crime.
Oh, true.
Dude, we were teenagers. I had no idea. We're like, my friend's like, want to blow that up? I'm like, I think it's a great idea.
I think it looks like you blow it up.
People didn't get their letters, their checks, their final. Like I wrote a final letter to mom, and us dummies are just blowing up people's love letters. What year is
this? This is.
We got it. Let's see. I would say this is like 91.
Yeah.
You know, maybe 90.
So 91. Mail was, by the way, everything. Like your bills came in the mail. Sometimes your paycheck sometimes 91, came in the mail.
I mean, the internet may have existed somewhere in the world, but not in our life.
Right. Well, no, it's not
91. Not even
at the time.
No.
You know?
Yeah,
that's pre AOL.
Yeah.
But even then, like your bills. Someone wrote personal letters, your paycheck maybe.
I think that's the thing. Like that's like what's awful about memories. It's like as a grown man now, I'll think about that day and I get upset that I may have ruined people's lives.
Yeah. I have one. I have a teacher, Miss Ryan. I don't know if she's okay. I don't know how she ever went through it. We used to torture this our computer teacher, right?
Yeah.
And one day, you know when they were all over Queens. The bushes have those little red berries on them.
Yeah.
One day we coordinated attack of like 17 of us, all the boys in my class. We're like, let's collect those berries. When Miss Ryan comes out, let's just fucking throw them at her.
Right.
And it seemed innocent enough.
Just throwing berries at the teacher.
But think about the horror of that. Like you come out, you know, this woman's probably like 50. She had a white blouse on. She's at work.
Yeah.
And 17 fucking little asshole kids are like, fuck you. And they were throwing these berries at her and they're hitting her shirt. And they're just leaving these little red marks on her shirt. And she just, I think, felt so attacked. I'll never forget this.
She felt so attacked. Why would she not? You believe she felt so attacked? Me and my hoodlum friends grabbed handfuls of berries and threw it at her white shirt, and she had the audacity to feel attacked.
To be fair, I think in our heads we were like, they're berries.
Oh yeah. Now you say she's a nice lady. Now did you not like her back then?
Mean, she was a nice lady, and
so you guys are just pure evil.
We were pretty fucked up, man.
Like you didn't attack a teacher you didn't like. You just said, whoever's got a white shirt's getting berries.
No, I think we didn't like her, even though she was nice. We just had like bad reasons. Maybe she yelled at us once or something. You know what I mean? But but my memory looking back at her was that she was pretty sweet. And so we threw these berries. I'll never forget it. They all hit her, and then she just like froze and started hysterically crying. And we never saw Miss Ryan again. Like she quit
from the berries.
From the back. Well, yeah. Well, the coordinated attack.
How do you feel about yourself now?
Oh, I feel horrible.
You should.
There's so many things.
You caused a woman to leave her career.
Yeah. I mean, I threw one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, one handful.
I think
like 10. You know? I know. Wow. Looking back at so much of the behavior, and it's that thing like when your parents are, that was at school, and then after school, we would do shit like, we'd go and get, like, there was a...
I like how you blame your parents, too. It's like... if they weren't working much, I probably wouldn't be throwing berries at strangers or killing rats in boxes.
Yeah, if they weren't trying to make it in America.
A lot of people's parents worked and didn't do things like that.
It was. So you're saying it's the individual.
I can tell you have not been to therapy yet to work on this. You're still blaming the parents.
Bro, I mean, isn't that what therapy's for? Isn't that what they're supposed to tell me is wrong?
No, they're there to learn how much of an asshole you are. That's at least how my therapy works.
Maybe my parents should be in therapy for me. Like we one time went and got a lawn chair, like not a lawn chair, like a lazy boy, like a big lounge chair, like a house. Couch, one of those reclining chairs. It was like abandoned, right?
Yeah.
So we left out. We thought it was funny to go to like door to door and sing. It was like July. We just thought it was a funny thing to do. We'd put it in front of someone's door, and we would all sit around and sing Christmas carols when they answered the door. Right?
So you'd bring a lounge chair in front of someone's house.
I mean, it took like all of us to carry the fucking thing.
Ring their doorbell and sing Christmas carols?
Yeah. Like this is the kind of like these are the kind of like mental anguish we put on our neighborhood. Like we would just these are like people that are home in the middle of the day. So they're like old people. They just open the door and they're like, oh god damn it. We're just singing Christmas carols. Like, you
That would have been great if you did it to that teacher's house. Like, the Berry kids are singing me Christmas carols. This is awesome.
Just loses her fucking mind. You know, and so like and our parents had no fucking clue. We didn't have cell phones, obviously. Maybe a few of us had beepers at some point.
Yeah, beep. Did you ever pay a beeper bill? I had like so many beepers as a kid. I used to go to like a county fair, get a beeper, never get a bill.
There's it was just a thing.
I mean, they gave it to a 15-year-old kid or 16-year-old kid.
Yeah, and then there were like codes to like get back to like you knew if somebody was trying to send you a message that wasn't just their number.
Right.
I don't remember what they were.
Well, we used to get the Sky Pagers because my friend's parents had like a beeper company at one point.
Yeah,
and they would like have us sell beepers to kids at school.
Right.
And if we got, they would give us free beeper for that. So we got the Sky Pager, the one where you can like call and leave a message.
Oh,
yeah.
Like, no, I know
it was like
about
text message. It was like this big.
Yeah.
Tribe Called Quest actually made a song about it. That's how popular it was. If you listen to that song now as a kid, you'd be like, what's a Sky Pager?
The idea that your kids are like sort of running around so these were all of our parents were working. And we're all just fucking walking around terrorizing the neighborhood. Our parents, unless we got in big trouble, which happened often, and it somehow got back to our parents, they had no idea what we were doing for the most part. Fireworks and Christmas caroling. All this dumb shit we were doing. That we were just terrorizing the neighborhood. And our parents really just had no idea what was going on, and we'd go home and like be like an innocent kid.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that what childhood is, though?
It is, but I don't know. Is it that way anymore? Do kids go out?
No, they don't go outside anymore.
Right. They get in trouble.
They do though. It depends on the kid, I think.
Depends on the neighborhood too. I grew up in Queens, so like you kind of just do walk around.
Right.
Like take your bikes. We would go like right after school. We'd take our bikes to McDonald's. We'd eat McDonald's because I think we didn't realize. No one understood how bad it was for you at the time.
Yeah.
And then you just go. You get all fucking amped up on like the biggest supersized Coca-Cola, and then you just go fuck with the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And get into fights. I mean, like I went to grammar school with the same 15 guys, 30 kids or whatever, 15 guys, let's say.
Yeah.
And we were all like best friends growing up, and then we'd all just also fight each other all the time.
Yeah.
And then you'd be like the next day, you'd be like, oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what we were doing. We were just like fighting in the street. We were terrorizing the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Where you grew up, was it more like suburban or?
Yeah, suburban.
Yeah,
East Brunswick, about a half hour north of here.
Yeah.
Basic suburban, riding our bikes around. We had like some woods. We had some trails in with ramps. Right. Got in trouble. Yeah, but like it just was. It's what kids do. I feel like my mother always kind of knew what I was doing, but if it wasn't too bad, like.
But do kids now not get into as much trouble because they're also or if
parents
they do,
don't let their kids out no more. See, like back then, I mean,
there's pedophiles.
Your parents used to be but your parents used to be like, be careful. There's like a code word. Be careful. There may be people that want to steal you.
Right.
Now parents think that everyone wants to steal their kids.
I mean, a lot of people want to steal kids,
but now what are the odds you're running into a pedophile as a kid when you're out and about in your neighborhood? Your kid's home online. He's probably talking to 6 pedophiles daily while he's playing video games.
That is true. There is actually easier access over the internet and apps and shit. But, I think when you were kids, you hear these like, oh, a kid might want to steal you. Like in the 90s, you'd hear, or 80s and 90s, you hear like, oh, someone's going to steal you.
Right. How many friends did you know get stolen?
Not a lot,
None.
but a few got diddled. I mean,
Right, but probably from someone they knew, not just some stranger rolling up and like,
Right. Like the van, the windowless van.
That never happened.
It never happened. That's true. It didn't happen, but as you get older, you realize there is an alarming amount of creepy people.
Right. In hindsight, you go, yeah, it was weird to have a little league coach that didn't have kids on the team.
Right.
Like that guy. Yeah. I would, what I mean? Like the Boy Scout leader that like is a single guy.
Yeah, why would he want to?
He's 33 wearing a bonnet around his neck.
I can tell you right now, I'm a father. I don't want to be, if I didn't have to be around kids, I wouldn't. I have to be around kids.
Yeah.
When you're a fatherless guy in your 30s, and that's what you're choosing, I think what makes your mind go.
Yeah, it's fatherless and choosing to be around. Like I want to help out kids like extracurricular, not like I'm a teacher.
Right.
Like, I want to coach Little League. It's like, why?
Yeah.
And why weren't they questioning him? Is he an ex-ball player? They're like, we have to have this guy on the team.
This is pre like the Catholic Church scandal, So this is like pre people going, if something happened, it was a one-off. There wasn't like a fucking epidemic of pedophilia out there yet. Yeah. We didn't go like, oh wait, there's like whole organizations of like organized pedophiles, like the mom.
I came in. I won't tell a story because it's part of a new joke in my act, but I do tell a story about coming across a pedophile when I was younger, but not knowing it till I was older. You know what I mean?
How did you now know it when you're older?
Because I'm not gonna do my bit, but
that's fine.
Because you realize why would this guy be hanging out with us?
Right.
You know what I mean? At first, we just thought he thought we were cool.
Right. Well, I can remember like going to Queens Center Mall, and this is part of like again, you're just out doing things until your parents get home.
Yeah.
And going to Queens Center Mall, I was with my brother, but my brother wasn't with me in the bathroom. I'm like 12 maybe, and there's a guy next to me who's just making a lot of noise. We're both peeing in urinals.
Yeah.
And he's making a lot of noise. And I just kept on like, I think my anxiety also at that age, I was like anytime you hit a urinal, you don't look at the person next to you.
What?
Don't look at the person next to you.
No.
I just never did.
No, you got to turn your head and look them straight in the eye without blinking. Imagine just like staring at them without blinking. That'd be perfect.
Well, so I would just stare into the urinal cake the whole time, like just don't look up. And this guy's just rustling around. And then as I'm done, I turn around and I'm washing my hands and I can see in the mirror the guy is clearly masturbating.
Nice.
And looking back at me. And I'm like, like he was clearly looking at me but I didn't look at him, so I didn't really know. And now he's like kind of half toward me and just going at it. And I just ran out, and it was like I didn't even know how to process it, so I just would walk out. My brother's like, "Hey, you good?" I'm like, "I'm fine. I'm kind of fine."
Now, did you Queens boys go like into the city, like cut school, go into the city, like we used to do like our Ferris Bueller day off, cut school, go go to the World Trade Center, we hang out with fat heroin hand guys. You take the train to Port Authority and outside back then,
guys who would just like almost tip over but not. Real fucking crackhead.
They just know you're from Jersey right away. Like, yo, Jersey, got 9 bags. And this is a guy with a big.
Yeah. Well, we would also just try to get as much done from like we let out at 3 o'clock. Our parents were home or whatever. To 7, 8 o'clock. Just as much you could cram into those 4. Even if you went to school, like you try to get in to the city, get back, or you try to go. Like you'd spend the whole time on the train, but you would just try to do as much as you can before your parents got home because they just had no idea.
Yeah.
I know. My parents are so stressed out about work that they didn't even really ask what we did that day. They would sit down with us and make dinner. They're tired and they're serving you dinner and they're like, "How's your day?" You're like, "Oh, okay."
They say that was the best thing for us, though.
Like, I don't know. We're all pretty fucked up.
Nah, we're fine. Listen, everyone's messed up, but like, it taught us a lot about survival. I agree. And like being out there, like I don't think kids get that today. Like that sort of freedom to screw up, to like figure things out. I think that's why kids have all anxiety because they don't like go out there and like. I mean, I have anxiety too, but it's like.
I think we got anxiety from a different. Like we got anxiety from maybe not being as supervised and what the world did to us, and now they're getting anxiety from staying home and like not being socialized. I think anxiety is inevitable.
But like, could you imagine our childhood not like it was the best of times? Yeah, like being a latchkey kid, like the freedom we had. We didn't even know we had freedom. Right.
We actually thought we didn't. A lot of times, you kind of think you don't. You think like you're like immigrant dad and be like, "Can I go here again?" He said, "No, I would just go anyway," because he didn't see it. He didn't know it.
Yeah, my parents were divorced. I had mom on the weekends. Yeah. Mom on the weekdays, dad on the weekends.
And you played that.
Mom was like very like, "You can go wherever you want. Just let me know when you're going to a different spot."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or
yeah, let me know when you're in a place.
Yeah, I'm going to Rogers. All right, if you're not gonna be at Rogers, let me know where you're going. Right. I'd be pretty cool because I'm like, yo, she's pretty cool. Lets me go anywhere.
Yeah.
But mom was like a very like chill, nice Italian woman. Worked hard. Always had dinner for us every night.
Yeah.
Dad's on the weekends was my dad was single in his late 20s, early 30s. Him and his Italian roommate just bringing women. I like the weekend life to the weekday life for me and my brother was so different. It's like we went from like beautiful, nice family hanging out with friends in the neighborhood playing kickball. To
debauchery.
My dad's roommate owned a hair salon, so we had beautiful women, drinks flowing, music pumping. My dad and his roommate calling them broads.
That's funny.
And I was just like, this is awesome.
It's interesting when you get this at a certain point. Well, so your parents are divorced. Maybe you saw it a little earlier. My parents got divorced later. It's funny when you start seeing your dad be a dude. Like sometimes you don't realize your dad's a dude, until you hit a certain point. And especially if your parents get divorced and you see them either date or you just see the way they talk to women when they don't have your mom there, and you're like, oh, it's kind of gross in the beginning.
Well, I never knew them together, really. Like, they got divorced when I was little. I mean, I have, like, faint memories, but, like, all my friends at that age when I was young, all our parents were divorced.
Right.
So it's like when we had a friend who we met that the dad lived with them, they're like, what's happening here?
Yeah. Like, this is Partridge Family bullshit.
What is this? Yeah. You guys are like TV over here. You don't have two houses?
So when you were with your mom, you were more well-behaved.
Definitely.
And when we were with your dad, you just got away with it. Probably a little more.
Well,
or did you do stuff with your dad? Like, you were with your dad,
the thing, you had 2 days. You had Friday night, and you came home Sunday night with dad. So you had a weekend. So my dad was big on hunting, fishing. We were in the woods shooting guns.
Yeah.
But like, if we weren't doing that, he lived on a farm. He rented out a house on his horse farm.
Got it.
We'd just be out shooting things with our BB guns, riding golf carts, smoking weed, stealing his cigarettes, stealing shots from his Jack Daniels, just But it was just like a different time. Like my dad never there was just a wall of shotguns and rifles, ammo ready. Like they didn't hide nothing, but they taught us how dangerous guns are.
Right.
So we never messed with them. So like that's
when you're Italian, your dads have guns, but they are hidden.
Yes, yeah.
And they're not hunting.
My dad always believed that. Let me show my boys what a gun does and kills something.
Right.
Like we see him kill something with it, and it's like just so you know how dangerous it is. You don't mess around.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if he was like one night he was going out, and he's like, I think either him or his roommate was breaking up with some crazy girl at the time.
Okay.
And they didn't know if she was gonna show up or something. Okay. So I remember one night my dad's like, "All right, I'm going out. I'll be back in a couple hours. If anybody, the 12 gauge is over there, you know where the shells are. If anybody comes in, just shoot them in the legs and then call the cops."
No, so he taught you how to shoot, though.
Oh, yeah, we know how to shoot.
So, I mean, that's a crazy thing to tell kids.
Right,
but you knew how to shoot.
We were dying for someone to come in. We were dying. We were like...
Well, that one pedophile
not that we want to kill somebody, but we definitely want to shoot someone in the legs.
When that one pedophile finally gets here, we know what to fucking do. We take his fucking knees out.
No, it was. I think it was going to be because one of his crazy ex-girlfriends showed up one time when he wasn't there. He's like, "Yeah, let her in. She's got to get some stuff," and she stabbed the waterbed with like coat hangers when she was in there. And then they came home, and we're just two kids sitting in the living room, not realizing the whole carpet's getting wet. And my dad walks, he's like.
To be fair, if you have a waterbed, you're kind of asking for a disaster.
This is the 80s, late 80s, man. Waterbeds, bro. You told a girl you had a waterbed in the late 80s, early 90s, like, yo, this guy's fancy.
Yeah, he's and kind of kinky. Like water. You're only thinking one thing. I don't think waterbeds
fooling
exist
around
anymore,
in a waterbed was hard in those days, though. If didn't if it wasn't filled properly, you catch like a bad wave, and then you're in the crease on the side.
You're like trying to get up out of the fucking bed. Yeah, but like I mean, married couples didn't have waterbeds.
No, single people.
That was a single dude thing.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the equivalent of like you walk into someone's bedroom and you see a fucking camera on a tripod pointing at the bed. Like you know exactly what the waterbed is there for.
Yeah, but I don't think back then it was weird. Do you think it was? Now it'd be real weird. You brought a girl. I don't
get a waterbed. You probably get a waterbed somewhere. I'm sure you could buy. You could if you wanted a waterbed. I'm sure you could find one.
Yeah.
Like on Amazon or some shit. I bet they sell fucking waterbeds on Amazon.
Yeah.
But if you are a thing of girls, like single Gen Z girl going into a dude's house and he's got a waterbed.
Yeah, but you know, if you're young, you'd be like, yo, he's so trendy. He's so retro. He's so retro. Yeah, that's it. Retro.
Retro.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, because everything old is new again, and that's the way it comes. You're like,
I don't think waterbeds are one of those things that came back. I don't think waterbeds are the vinyls.
It could. You know what? I'm going to push for it. You know what? It could come back if baggy pants can come back, which they are.
Yeah, but you can't be you.
Jenko jeans are coming back. If Jenko jeans can come back, we can get the waterbed people.
You can't be you or me and bring back waterbeds.
We can't. But we can tell them, be like, yo, you know, if you want to stand out with your friends,
right?
Waterbed.
If you and I
heated waterbed
were single and tried to bring back waterbeds, there'd be articles written about us. You know?
Well, no, I mean, not if I'm finding girls my own age, you'd be like, this is pretty cool. It's blast from the past.
First of all, girls your age.
Got any blacklight posters we could throw up?
Sure, but you know what? At a certain point, like girls our age, their hips can't take a waterbed anymore. Yeah, it's too much rocking around.
Yeah, that'd be a great midlife crisis. Be like, I'm 50, gonna get my new waterbed. Iron Maiden blacklight posters. Just really bring it back to the late 80s.
At our age, you know how jammed up your fucking back would be if you slept on a waterbed every night.
Yeah.
I can't if I can't sleep on anything but at some sort of Tempur-Pedic. Like I need technology to sleep comfortably and not have backaches when I wake up.
I got a one of those adjustable beds, but I'm so indecisive. I don't like. I'm like, I think this feels good. Like,
what do you mean by that? How does it adjust?
Like it goes up. The back can go up. The legs can go up. It's got some like zero G button.
Like, controls.
Yeah, but I just wind up always. I can't commit to a position. Like I'm just so indecisive in life. It's like if you hear me getting ready for bed, I'm like, and then I just wind up going flat. I'm like, I can't.
You just can't figure this.
Well, because you ever try to zero G, your legs are up like this, your head's up like that. They're like, this is the proper sleep position, and you're like, I feel like I'm hanging from something.
I've only done that kind of research on like taking a shit. Like you're supposed to.
Oh, the squatty
potties. You know.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem pooping, like so. It's not like I need the squatty potty.
Yeah.
I feel like women really, because like I don't know. I want to say half the women that are alive are constipated, and they really concentrate on like. They're like, oh man, I can't. I've never had that problem. I've never had like, oh man, I really need to put my knees in a certain place so I can poop.
I have a friend who stands on his toilet. Like he's like instead of squatting like the squatty potty, he puts his feet up there and squats like he stands
like
on
him.
it.
Like he's on the seat.
He's fit though. He can do that. He's fit. He's fit. But
so his heels are like right by his ass. Like does she say?
Yeah.
He's kind of like.
Yeah. That's what the squatty potty's trying to help you do. That's how you really do it.
Right.
That's like that's a real man doing it, not squatty potty. Like
you gotta bend yourself in half to take a shit.
Yeah, but apparently it works for him. But I guess that works better in public bathrooms. I bet it's better to stand on one to sit on. I guess.
I've never heard of that before. But you know,
I've never seen it. He just tells me, and I just trust his word. He never invited me. He didn't invite me and be like, check out my form.
It's like, do you ever stand on your toilet when you take?
No. He's asked me. I'm like, no, I'm too clumsy. I can picture me taking a crap and then my foot falling in. That's. Now, did you guys do a lot of drugs when you were Latchkey kids?
Yeah, there were a lot of drugs and we would. So, I want to say,
like I'm interviewing you.
That's fine, man. Yeah, no, there was a lot of. So we started drinking at like 12. That's when we would start like sneaking into like that was like we were in the house. We'd go into our parents' liquor cabinet.
Shots of vodka.
Yeah, whatever like vodka was great because you could put water back in the bottle.
Yeah, they didn't know.
Yeah, right. So we'd go and steal liquor, and that's like 12. By the time we're like in high school, what we started doing is, and then drugs got introduced. What we would do is like we'd buy 40s. We'd buy 40 ounces.
Yeah.
And we would go in Queens. There's a few neighborhoods where like there's alleyways or the backyard. There's no backyard. The back of your house is like this sort of like almost ditch, like a sort of like ramp into like your driveway. Okay. So you could drive down the ramp of these alleyways that are like between the two houses that are back to back. Mm-hmm. And that's everyone's driveway. So what we would do is we would walk around and find like this. It's essentially somebody's backyard, but there's no yard, just concrete. And we'd go and just because they'd have like lawn chairs out there, we'd just go and sit in people's alleyways with our 40s. And then we'd make noise. They'd be like, get out of here. And then we'd run to the next one. Or we'd go into a park. you know, and we would just drink. As your equivalent, I think you said you guys would drink in the woods.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like that's what we would do. We would go and like drink, and then eventually there was weed, and then weed quickly turned to cocaine, and then there was, you know, and then all sorts of shit, and half those guys are not alive anymore. But you know, like 12 was like the liquor in the basement, and inevitably like most of you can't handle liquor, and you're in the house alone.
Yeah.
Parents are working.
Yeah.
You're just drinking. You're throwing up. You're trying to get your friends to throw up cleaned up before your parents come home. You know, were drugs introduced to you and your friends at a young age?
Oh yeah. I mean, drink. Yeah, same thing. Young, drinking. I remember one time my brother Mike, I guess he was out drinking wine. You know, you just find anything.
Like we shared Carlo Rossi, like those.
Yeah,
big,
I don't know. I wasn't
remember those things.
Yeah, Carlo Rossi. Yeah,
it's like $10 for a gallon of wine.
Yeah, or the box wine. That's always good.
It's just equivalent. I think Carlo Rossi is like the equivalent of like boxed wine. It's like in terms of quality.
Yeah.
And you just get a gallon, and we would go like we would do that too. We would get like little plastic cups, like solo cups or something, and we just pour ourselves fucking this horrible wine.
Yeah. I remember my brother like vomiting wine all over our bedroom, like on the wall next to his bed. We just thought he was dead. Like I woke up and was like, I see a stain, but it was all just Carlo Rossi.
Like, oh my God, he threw up blood everywhere.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did all same story as you. Booze to drugs, to people dying. You know, nice latchkey kid childhood.
Your parents come up and be like, "Oh, your dad's
like." So you did a lot of drugs, like when you.
Not that I necessarily did a lot. There was a lot of drugs around.
Did you ever start telling your drug stories from when you were a child? Like you're a child, like
you're a kid.
I thought everyone was doing drugs like this. Then you get older, you start telling people you're. Dude. When I was 16, dude, we were doing blow, and man. You were doing what? And then you realize like not everyone does that growing up, so you have to like take it back.
Yeah, I have that now as a parent. I meet these just really nice people that are parents of the kids that my kid plays with.
Okay.
And you get into those conversations sometimes, and you do assume a little bit. That's it. You do go like, oh yeah, you know, when you're like 13, and you were just like, you know, your friend would have like alcohol poisoning, and like, what do? Do you tell the parents? And they're like, wait, 13? They just look at you like you're just this degenerate. To be fair, we were fucking.
We were degenerates, but it's so weird that they didn't try to be degenerates for a little bit.
Right. Like, well, I think a lot of people do when they're like 16, 17. They're drinking younger than drinking age, but I guess you went through a similar thing that was introduced so young. By the time I was 21, and you're sober, right?
I got clean at 20 years old, 10 days before my 20th birthday.
At 20. That's like a thing with comics. Sometimes you guys were clean before drinking age.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know if it's a personality type of a comic that, you know, is like maybe like.
Because comedy, I tell people, comedy is very much like drug addiction.
For sure.
Because when it's great, you're like, I'm doing this every day for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Then you have a bad show, you're like, I'm never doing this again.
Never doing this
again. Then you're home one day, you're like, just one more. Just one more. I'm gonna do this one more time. And that's the same thing as drug addiction. You're like, I'm never doing this again. This is ruining my life.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe that's because
it's the
there's
same
an
rush.
addictive personality that goes along with being with a comedian.
Yeah. That's when I like it's addictive. Comedy's addictive. Why? Because it's narcissism.
Right.
It feels good. Everyone's telling you you're awesome in that moment.
And there's a chemical thing that happens.
Of course there is.
There is an endorphin. Fucking, there's a rush. There's a.
I like when people don't admit that. They're like, nah, dude, I'm just in it for the creativity and the art. It's like, listen, bro.
No.
We all, okay.
Yeah.
Kind of. But just admit it. You like the attention. We all do. It feels good.
Right.
It's a drug. It's okay to admit it.
It's okay to admit it, but also, there's something a little wrong with it. Even though it's not inherently wrong, there is something a little different about a brain who craves that.
Well, you saw it during COVID. Watch a comic not have a booking for a few weeks. He's like a junkie. Like, I need a spot. Can I get a spot? I need a guest spot.
Yeah, people really lost their shit.
Tap it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know dude, we went on Zoom. That's how bad we needed it. We were like, I'm just gonna sit in my room.
Is there anything fucking worse than that? The virtual they're so
the world asked us, can you not get attention?
Yeah.
For 1 year, and they're like, Not gonna happen. Yeah. Not gonna happen. Meet me in the park. I'll be on top of the picnic bench doing my show.
If there's a God, he probably was just sick of comedy. He was like, let's just fucking put a pause. There's too many comics.
I respect comics that gave it up totally for that year. They're like, you know what? I'm gonna sit back.
I'm just
I respect. Listen. I performed in fields during that time. I was, I needed to get out.
Yeah,
I needed to rush too.
Right.
I respect people that were like, you know what? It's a good time to take a break.
Yeah, where most guys just like,
to me, they have their mind together. Someone that did that. They naturally feel good about themselves and don't need the outside validation as much.
They don't need it. But maybe those guys were always going to quit anyway, though, because
they came back, but they're like
they just were okay being away from it during that time. Yeah. Well, they were. I mean, how long did that have lasted? They thought they were waiting it out, because then you look at the other side of it, which is all the comics doing all the Zoom shows, and it's funny because you're like, comics still act like comics. They're still like asking you who booked it, and you're like, it's a fucking Zoom. You could book it. It's just, you have a Zoom.
Yeah. Do comics still do that?
Like ask who books shows?
No. Do Zoom shows in 2024?
They are still lingering out there. I think there's a few.
Insanity.
That's crazy. It's crazy. I did them, and then I did one on the when we didn't have to anymore, and I was maybe 3 minutes into it. I'm like, what am I doing?
I had some good ones. Like, it was more like corporate ones that I booked, like Christmas parties and stuff.
A Christmas party.
It was like, and they paid pretty good, but I treated it like I was doing a podcast.
Right.
I just sat in my desk with a thing, and I almost did a podcast, and some of my act would rip on them a little bit.
Yeah.
But I didn't stand in my room with a mic stand and perform.
You have to almost treat it like that, where it doesn't sound like an act as much as it sounds free. Like, I did one where I kept on riffing with another comic who was on before me, because I just couldn't bring myself to be like, and do the beats of a joke.
Yeah.
Felt very cringy.
The worst part about the Zoom shows is when you're doing a comedy club and it's dark, you can't always see if someone's disinterested in you.
Yeah.
But on a Zoom show, the moment they either shut their camera off, or the ones that forget to shut their camera off, you see them. You'll see a person that's say at their dining room. I'm only saying this because I've seen this. At one of my Zoom performances. They didn't have the respect to log off to let me know that they're not interested no more, or to shut the camera. They would get up, and I'd see them walking down their hallway, getting smaller and smaller, and I'm just like, and all I'm doing, I'm performing, waiting for them to come back. That's the only square I'm looking at.
They're home.
I'm like,
they couldn't have left,
and he didn't come back. He whatever. Yeah,
is it a corporate gig that you did? There's a corporate.
Yeah, it was like a fundraiser or whatever.
What's funny is you're doing comedy where people are home, right? So they're treating it like they're Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
You turn off your camera sometimes. You go to grab a coffee. But you got this guy.
Yeah, I thought he had to go to the bathroom.
This guy dying.
You're like, oh, he's going to the bathroom. He may be dead. Maybe I'm judging it.
No, I mean the comic.
The guy probably died, and I'm like, I believe he didn't come back to my show.
No, I mean the comic.
Poor guy was living alone, dead in his bathroom, and I'm all like, what about me?
I mean, that's always what it is with us, right? It is always about us. Well, let's go back to the drinking thing real quick. So you were sober at 20.
20.
So does that mean things? Did you just kind of naturally go I don't like the way that's going, or did you have a rock bottom? Was there a was it so heavily drinking and drugging before you were 20 that you were I have to clean up?
Well, I'll tell you, I went to rehab my senior year of high school.
Yeah, all right.
I went to rehab when I was right before I turned 18. So my senior year of high school, went for a month or so. Stayed clean for about 60 days after I got out of there. It was because back then I was doing, what were everything.
You doing?
Everything.
You're like the kid in the 90s drug commercial. They're like, hey, you want drugs? And it's in
everything.
A bag of
anything.
Drugs.
You're like, yo, you want to do this? Of course I do.
Of course I do.
What a silly question.
Yes.
Yes. It just was the way it was.
Do you want it? Yes.
But there was a part of me back then, it's weird addiction, because you're having a good time.
Right.
But there's also this darkness in your life.
Right.
When the party's not on no more, like when it's just you afterwards and you're still chasing it when everyone's gone.
Yeah.
And it's like and you start feeling awful about it. And then I remember asking my principal, whatever, like my guidance counselor, I just told him, I was like, I remember it was, thinking back, it's kind of funny because like, I was like, I think I need to go to rehab.
Yeah.
And he goes, we like smoking weed and drinking? I'm like, I smoked crack last week. And
wait, you're 17?
I'm 18. I'm 17. I don't even think I turned 18 yet. I'm like, I smoked crack last week and I've been smoking it ever since. And I'm I think I was
I'm doing crack.
Let me tell you something. Crack got me moving to like want to get help because that shit, I smoked it, loved it.
Did you?
Immediately.
Okay.
And then like did it a few, and I was like, I was like, he goes, all right, well, maybe it was like a Friday at school. He's like, okay, maybe, we'll try and get you into place on Monday. I'm like, we should go today.
Yeah, I'm going to go do that.
Because I'm probably going to do it today.
By Monday, not only will I do that, but I won't be coming back here.
You talked about like latchkey kids. My mother had no idea because like they probably knew I was smoking pot, drink, but they didn't know like the dark stuff. Like I remember my brother did because he saw me losing weight and probably saw me like coming home like ultra chattery, like it's 3 in the morning. How's your week going?
Right.
So I remember my brother confronted me one time, and I was like, "What are you talking about? What do you My mother was clueless, and then they learned in rehab when I got honest.
Say, what are you talking about? You just smoked crack.
Yeah, but you think you're fine.
Right. No,
you think you're fine. Yes, you're like, what? How come nobody likes to see me happy? Yeah. I'm finally happy for once in my life.
That is the line of a crackhead. It's like, why does anyone want to see me happy?
I mean, that's just the. I just push it all on them. Why? What is your problem?
Right. Yeah, no, you think that's the fucked up thing with addiction is anyone who has addiction thinks it's under control until they're like, fuck.
Yeah.
And then they still go back and forth.
Right. And then, but I'm a teenager, so you get honest with your family, you go to rehab, you learn a lot of good things. When I left rehab, I was like, man, I'm staying clean forever. This is my thing. So about around the summertime, so I was like the winter, graduated, summertime come, there was like this big party that used to always be in my town. This kid had on his dad's farm, he used to have like beer trucks and bands.
Yeah.
And I went with my brother, and I remember I was like, I think I'm gonna have a beer. And he's like, I thought, they said you can't drink because,
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, but I was never a drinker. I was a kid. You know what I mean? I didn't drink a lot because dope.
Oh, you skipped right
over.
Well,
the dope man don't card you. So you know what I mean? Like I walk into a liquor store, they want identification. You go, ask for some cocaine, crack. They don't ask for ID. They're like, here you go, kid. And
so you skipped over liquor and went right to that stuff.
Well, liquor was always a part of it, but it was never a major part of it because it was barely unless you were stealing it from your parents.
It was right.
I mean, we used to go to like New Brunswick and have someone buy it.
Isn't that wild that the liquor was less available to you than crack was?
Yeah. Very,
Yeah.
So then I remember, like, my brother's like, all right, yeah, if you think so. I had a beer. And then, so I had a beer, whatever, say that's like 7 or 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
At 1 in the morning, me and my friends are driving to Spanish Harlem to buy Angel Dust. Right?
Because you had the one beer.
Right, so now, mind you, this is a friend who went to rehab same time I did, but they wouldn't let us go to the same rehab together. So we went to separate rehabs, even though we were going the same time.
Gotcha. Is that a thing that you can't go with people you know?
I assume, I think whatever, they knew we were best friends back then. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I remember us like getting high on dust and being like, yo, this is what they meant in rehab about progression, huh? It was like, progression happened quick.
Was that your first time doing dust? Or was
No. Well, because I thought back then if I stay away from coke and heroin, all this other stuff I was trying, I'd be fine. Right. And that worked for me for about 2 years.
Yeah.
I doing everything but that.
And then you had a beer and you were like, fuck.
Yeah, and then it just, I don't know, it's hard to understand, but it's like you have these things called like moment of clarity.
Right.
Like I remember just like being with a bunch of people that I was getting high with all the time, and for whatever reason that day I just looked at the group, I'm like just like outside of myself, seeing like what I was.
Yeah, sure.
But you're like you don't know, like, you just think this is who you are. You're like, I'm just destined to be this.
Yeah.
And then at the time, this girl I was hanging with, her mother wouldn't let her back in the house unless she started going back to meetings. So I said, oh, I'll go with you. This doesn't work, but I'll go with you to get you back in the house. I'll go. We'll go together.
Go for you. Right.
And then I went on a Wednesday with her to support her, not with no intention of getting clean.
Right.
And been clean ever since that day.
And that was it. You've been
Nothing.
good.
0.
Good for you.
29 years.
Wow.
1995.
1995.
Yeah. It was, so.
Yeah, I mean, we were just a fucking disaster, and like, you know, we didn't realize how many looming addiction problems there were amongst this group of friends. I mean, and we used to do wild shit. Like, it started with like drinking in alleyways, and then it got to like, you know, our drinking started at 12. So by the time we were 16, we were like, now we need to throw fucking. Our thing became like, we need to throw these fucking ragers. Yeah. So now we got to throw the parties. So you got the parents are away. I remember one of them, we threw a party, like this fucking, there must have been 150 people at my friend's house between his backyard and his house.
Yeah, yeah.
We annihilated this kid's house. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, it was chaos beyond, it was like a movie about like a spring break party. I mean, we just annihilated, and then we thought, all right, his parents come home new the next day. We'll clean up in a few hours. I mean, the house was destroyed. 2 floors, basement, backyard. Absolutely annihilated, right? And but I remember this other time we used to go to Greenpoint, Brooklyn, which was at the time a very Polish neighborhood. And we'd find these like businesses that would just let us rent it. You go talk about like, oh, the dope man didn't card you, right? But I feel like in Queens, you could find the convenience store that gave you the 40s, and you could find the venue that didn't care.
Well, yeah, if we wanted to drink, we'd go to New York.
You'd go to New York.
Because I remember my friend Roger, his dad brought us to, I think, Feast of San Gennaro.
Yeah, sure.
And it was so mobbed, and we just like that is like a memory of like, you know, so we're probably 16.
Yeah.
We just kind of got like almost like pushed into this bar.
Right.
You know, I think it was Spring Street or something over there. And we're just there, and there's like shots going around, like Jello shots, and like a shot girl. And just like handing them to us. So we're 16. We're just like, okay. Right. So my buddy goes, yo, let's go. I'll go try and buy a beer at the bar. So he's like sat up at the bar. We're just like, you know, we're teenagers. We're dumb. We're like, Budweiser? You know, and they just gave it to us. We're like, we just couldn't believe it. We were just drinking.
Yeah.
No questions.
There was so much not even being carded. I mean, we were kids. We were 13, 14, going to a deli. We got to know the deli. Sometimes they give you a hard time, but there was this one deli on Woodhaven Boulevard where we would just go in, and he would actually, and he knew because he would walk us into the back where the beer was. Like, you'd walk in the walk-in cooler storage part. Yeah. And he'd give us our beer back there so we didn't have to spend all the time at the cash register. We'd give him the money in there so that he didn't have to, like, people come in and see it, and then we'd all just walk out with our bags full of 40s.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, with our like old Englishes and shit. And we'd go drink around the neighborhood. But I remember in Greenpoint, we rented out this like club from this like little old Polish man. It was like a catering hall. It was like where you'd like a Polish family would throw a 16th birthday, like a sweet 16 there, right? But it was small, and it would the outside looked like a warehouse. And we just invited everyone in our high school to come to this thing, and it ended up being like hundreds of people there. And we hired a DJ, or one of our friends was a DJ, I think it was. And so we drew a legit fucking giant party with kegs delivered.
Nice.
And, you know, we all scraped our fucking money together. The rental was not expensive, the rental place. And then we just filled it with beer. Like, everyone you had to pay to get in to the thing. So we just used that money for the liquor. Like, somebody fronted it.
We did that at my house. Just got kegs, and my mom would be away.
This party, though, got so out of control. Cops came and raided it. So one of my friends, he has like alcohol poisoning. He drank too much. He's passed out. He's laying in his own puke in the booth.
Yeah.
And the cops now, we're trying to take care of him as the cops start raiding the fucking place. And people are getting thrown around. I just see the cops at the other side of the venue, and there's just fucking young kid just scrambling, and there's just bodies being slammed into walls.
Yeah.
And we pick up our friend, and we only knew because we came in loaded in the place. We knew where the back door was. We picked up our friend who was passed out and got out of the fucking place with our passed out friend. You know? And then we get in the car. We get in the car. We were all fucking
drunk driving.
There was so much drunk driving too.
Yeah.
We all drove drunk. We drove while drinking.
That was like the one thing I did good when I was I'll walk home.
You were responsible.
But I used to forget where I had my car. I'd have to like call my friends, be like, "Do you know where my car is?"
Yeah.
When was the last time you saw my car?
Right. So you would just walk home. You could just walk home wherever you were partying was walkable.
Well, because I used to just be around my town back then. Like I said, I was a kid. I mean,
we just get in the fucking car. We're all drunk, throwing up on people's cars. I remember passed out kid in the back. You know.
I remember throwing a party at my mom's house. She was going away for the night, so we got kegs. My band was playing in my basement.
Right.
My brother was selling weed by the pinball machine in the basement. We just had people all over, and my mom was like the hot mom when we were younger. Like all my friends were like, "Dude, your mom's hot," and I'm like, "All right, enough." So like we're just partying drunk, and I went and told all my neighbors, "Hey, we're having this party."
Right.
So if it's too loud for you, just tell us. Please don't call the cops. Mm-hmm. So they were really cool. So my mom decided to come home early from whatever the hell she was doing, and we don't know. And I just, you start walking in. I'm like, is that my mom? And I just see like all these dudes that I don't know
around your mom
hitting on my mother, just hitting on my mom in the kitchen. And my mother just looks at me and she goes, "Yeah, whatever's happened, this has to end soon.
Right.
Like you have to wrap this up." Like she knew it was too big of a beast to like stop right away.
Right. You couldn't come in screaming.
Right. So she was like, "We have to move this along." And I'm like, "What?" And then this dude comes in right in front of my mom. He goes, "Dude, you got any rolling papers?" I'm like, "What?" He's like, "You have any rolling papers for the weed your brother sold me?" And it was just like my mother's just like
there's zero awareness.
Like she went out she was like gonna trust her boys to go out for an evening and come back tomorrow. And we turned it into a drug dealing, music, open house den within hours of her leaving.
It's because this shit that scares me as a dad. I'm thinking like, my kid's young. I have a 3-year-old. But I just think of like...
I hope she's not having open house parties.
No open house parties. Just shitting themselves, you know?
Similar to open house parties.
Yeah.
At least yours.
Right. Well, I'm always shitting myself.
Yeah, you're always shitting yourself.
But like...
Is that what you and your daughter have most in common?
She's like, your wife's Daddy, I pooped. I'm like,
your
me
wife's
too.
like, yeah, chip off the old block. Right.
Takes after her daddy.
Yeah. Thanks. Just...
She look like him? No, she just shits herself all the time.
There they are in the corner there shitting themselves together.
I think about like my kid growing up, and I'm like, fuck, like, because what do you really do? You got to give your kid enough freedom. I think we had like a lot of freedom, and we were completely unsupervised. But then I think obviously it's a balance. Like you can't be like, you can't fucking go anywhere. I mean, do you remember those kids? The kids who couldn't do anything, and then they fucking got out there and they went insane. You know what I mean? The kids that were like too much supervision.
Oh yeah.
Right. So you don't want your kid to be that. But then you also don't want I don't know, I don't want my kid to be as unsupervised as I was. Like, it builds character, sure, but it also fucking left some scars along the way. I mean, there was some fucked up shit that happened, you know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, your kid, I mean, by the time, your daughter's 3?
Yeah.
She'll be like hanging out in some sort of AI, like, environment of somewhere.
Yeah.
It's going to be just something you can't relate to. You're going to be like,
I can't even fathom.
Like, yeah, like, you're going to be so, like... Like when I showed my grandpa my computer one time, he goes, "Oh, it's just like a typewriter." He just like it was just so far from like even diving into this technology. It was like,
yeah, you're like an AOL chat.
Yeah,
finding the pedophiles.
Not me. Maybe that's what you did.
Well, I wasn't seeking them. They found me.
Oh, they did. Yeah.
I mean,
you're a little too old to having pedophiles find you on the internet. You must have been.
I was catfishing them as a kid.
Yeah, dude's like 16. Like these pedophiles are bothering me.
I mean, that's still pedophilia, isn't it?
I know. But I think you're old enough to know better.
Sending me dick pics.
Yeah. They might be calling what you're doing entrapment. Be like, you can't be putting out a taste for these guys.
No, I remember. I mean, I don't know. AOL started becoming a thing. I think I was like an early teen when AOL was a thing. was started becoming a thing. And you go in these
like
chat
95,
rooms.
right?
Yeah,
I was like 20.
At 95, I was 10.
You were 10 in 95?
Yeah.
I forget how much older than I am than you because I look better.
You look a lot better.
I mean, I'm not shitting my pants yet.
No, you got that going for you. It'll happen, by the way. One day you're gonna. Hopefully not for a long time.
Nah,
Without accelerated health issues, you shouldn't be shitting your pants for a long time.
Yeah.
That's what I do every time I shit my pants. They're like,
wow, you were 10 when I got clean. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So no, I just don't look good. But I'm 38. You know, internet started. I remember like my friends at school.
It's the beard.
Like,
if you shaved the beard, you'd look young.
Yeah. But then I look fatter. You know, then someone.
Would you rather be younger or fatter?
I'd rather be thinner and older.
Thinner and older?
Yeah. You pick your fucking poison at that point. You're like, what will make people be disgusted by me? I'm gonna choose the thing I'm more okay with that other people are still like, ew. you know? Like I'd rather be
I love dudes though. Like they like dude, that's a dude thing. It's like I'm not gonna lose weight. I'm just gonna put more hair on my face.
Yeah. Well, because when people think you're fat, they're like, oh, he let himself go. And people think you're old. You got old. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't do that to myself.
Yeah.
But I actually did. I think
I'm sure I have a lot of gray if I wasn't shaving my head.
How long have you been shaving your head?
Long time, dude. I started losing my hair like
around the time you got clean?
Yeah, mid-20s actually. Mid-20s.
Was it one decision? You're like, new Joe. This is new Joe.
New Joe.
I'm clean. I'm bald.
Yeah, clean, bald. Nah, I started shaving my head. I don't even know. A while ago. I don't even like when I see pictures of me with hair. I feel like I'm looking at someone wearing a wig. I'm just so used to a bald head now.
Yeah.
It's so much the life is so much easier bald. It is. It's just I don't have to worry about hairstyles.
Right.
Worry about getting haircuts. I just shave it off.
Yeah. The beard is new though for me. I started doing the beard recently, pandemic beard. And then it was like one of those like straggly long pandemic beards. I was like, maybe let me clean it up and see how it looks. And then once I cleaned it up, I was like, oh, maybe I'll do a beard now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think about my kid growing up and I'm like, oh God, they're going to fucking do all the stupid shit I did. Not all the things maybe, but they're going to do
stuff you have. Like my stepson, Justin, I met his mother when he was 5. He's 23 now.
Right.
So I've been in his most of his life. I've been in his life, and he had a lot of freedom to do whatever he wanted.
Yeah.
And he was a good kid, never got in trouble.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like now he's 23. We're like pals.
Yeah.
We're like, you know what I mean? Like he opens up a little more, starts telling us stories about stuff he did when we thought he was.
Oh, you now find out what he did.
Yeah, he started to drop the little stories on us of what they used to do, and we're like, what? But it's kind of hilarious because it's like that's what we were doing too.
Did you guys not know when he was doing those things?
These things he's telling us now? No, we didn't, because he wasn't getting in trouble. So it wasn't like he's going out, whatever him and his friends are doing. He's coming back. There's no police presence. There's no parents calling. Hey, if you're going to do stuff and get away with it, it is what it is. But like we're hearing about it now, but it's like you never know what they're doing.
You never know. But I maybe because we got in trouble a lot, our parents ended up finding out some of the shit we did.
Yeah.
And then, but then my parents are from Sicily. They're very, you don't talk about certain things, you know what I mean? Unless you're yelling at someone. Like it's either
that's how old school people are.
You don't even talk about it unless you are fucking talking about it, right? It's either going to be a giant thing or you don't. There's no calm back and forth conversation. So if I came home and this happened a few days, I'd come home throwing up from drinking, my mom would hear me throwing up from drinking.
Yeah.
She'd be like, you okay in there? I'm like, yeah, a bad White Castle. I would come up with some thing because I didn't want to say, I was drinking. And she'd be like, okay, as long as you're okay. It's like, really? I got home at 2 a.m. You knew. It's like she knew. But she just didn't address it.
My mother said the same thing we told him when he was younger. It's like, we know you're drinking. We know you're going to party. Don't get in a car with anybody. Call me. I'll pick you up. You're not in trouble.
Right.
That's what, you know what I mean? It was like, we'll come get you anytime.
Yeah.
Don't want you thinking you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they're going to drink.
I guess that's a good way to be, is just like, you're going to, like
we know you're doing it.
Now. Yeah. You won't be in trouble.
You're not going to be in trouble.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? it's like that. I think that's the way to go.
My dad
it.
was so inconsistent though that like if he would say those kind of things like, "Hey, if you ever need me, just let me know." But if you fucking needed him and you gave him a call, you were getting your ass kicked. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't.
That's that immigrant people. Yeah.
Yeah. He'd be like, if you know, and I think he meant it when he would say it, like, "Don't drive drunk, don't do that. Let me know if you need me." I remember one time I called him. Because we'd also go to like nightclubs at like a very young age. I had a fake ID, and again, it was like in New York. I feel like it was just like as long as you had NID, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
It was just like, yeah, you're good. Yeah. And go into, we'd be partying in like Astoria. I remember there was this one club called DNA. I'm sure it's not around. I mean, nightclubs never last that long. In Astoria, we used to go there at like 15 because you only needed to be 18 to get in. And then if you're 21, you got a bracelet that you could drink.
Okay.
But we would just go in and then go
we
to
had
the
a place
bar.
like that called the Roxy in New Brunswick.
Oh, I know of the Roxy. Yeah, I think I've been there before. I've definitely been there before. Yeah. And you go in at 15 because you have an ID that says you're 18 or 19. It was like my older brother's ID.
Yeah.
But then once you're in and you go to the bar, they didn't care if you're wearing the bracelets. So basically at 15, you just had a free pass to go in and drink. And we got... Something happened once, and there was a big fight that broke out. And a lot of us were really fucking drunk, and I was like, you know what, my dad, I got this. My dad said we can call him.
Yeah.
My dad came and beat the living shit out of me. I was like 15. I was like, I thought you said I could call you. He's like, you could. There's not no consequences though.
Yeah, I'm still gonna beat the shit out of you.
Yeah.
At least you got home safe.
You didn't disclose that.
At least you got home safe, so I can beat the shit out of you.
Yeah, you didn't disclose that. Picking me up meant I also get a fucking beating.
Yeah.
I think I was also at that club once and I got jumped at the club.
Really?
And all my friends had left and I had stayed with a few of my friends that were girls. And I'm like, I'll fucking stay. I'll stay. It's fine that they're gone. It's like in hindsight, looking back at it, those nightclubs are just full of like underage, ramped up, fucking coked up kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Why'd they jump you?
I was walking... there's a downstairs where the coat check was, and I was coming back up. I was ready to leave, and I think I bumped into someone. And the kid goes, he's now behind me, and he goes, "You fucking bumped into me." So I was like, "Sorry, man." And he's like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, "I said sorry." And he's like, "Oh," and he starts cursing at me, and I pushed him, and he went flying down the stairs because we were on the stairs, and we're both fucked up, and I had no idea that all the people around me were his friends.
Okay.
So I pushed him, he went flying down the stairs, and they all just jumped on me, and then we all went flying down the stairs together. We all rolled down the stairs, but I'm on the floor now, and they all get up, and they just start
pouncing
fucking stomping me.
Wow,
right?
And the girls did nothing?
No. I mean, they just were like, "Oh my God, look at him." Look at him being stepped on. And I mean, they might have been screaming. I don't know. I was covering up, you know? And I remember because I borrowed my brother's like button-down shirt and I brought it back with all fucking foot marks on it. I just had like kick marks all over me.
Oh my God.
That's the kind of shit though, man. You just like, you go out, you're getting fucked up. Everyone around you fucked up. You don't have, like, I don't think anyone in the situation has the mentality of like, let's drink responsibly. Everyone's just drinking as much as they can.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's people doing coke in the bathroom. You're getting as many drinks as you can. You haven't learned, as you get older, you learn the like feeling in your stomach when you've had too much. Like, when your last drink is there.
Yeah, that's why I wish I started doing stuff when I was older. I always wonder if you're like I'm born an addict or if I just became that way because I just started so young. We'll just go in because it's just like everything was full tilt.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we're drinking tonight until we wake up tomorrow. It's like just... everything was full tilt.
On the plus side, though,
when you're young,
you're clean. By the time you're at an age where you could just freely go and drink you're clean at a young age.
Yeah.
To live the rest of your life healthy.
Oh no, so totally.
Right.
Totally.
So it's almost better sometimes you get it done.
Oh no, I'm glad to be clean, but I always think that because about the moderation and stuff. Would you not have gotten
that deep in if you were older already? Is your point?
Yeah. Who knows? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
You never know if you're predisposed for something.
Right.
Or if it's just, any person taking that much in that short a period of time would
naturally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I do have the addictive nature where it's like
you're a comic.
If I love something, I do it till it hurts me.
Right.
That's
how I treat food.
Yeah. Food could be that way.
That's how I am with food. I'm like,
because I'm talking myself out of food. Like you have to talk yourself.
Yeah, don't do that, man.
Like when someone told me like early on how you know you were an addict,
Yeah.
An alcoholic, non-addicts, alcoholics don't count the days between the last time they had it. Like when you're like, dude, I haven't had a drink in 13 days. They're like, so? Like the average person's like...
That's a great fucking lens to look at it on. Dude, I do that with food, man. I'm like, not to count the days because you eat every day, but I'm looking at, if I'm going out to eat on Friday and it's Monday, I'm looking at that menu the whole week.
Yeah.
What am I going to fucking get at that restaurant on Friday? Oh, I can't wait to get to that restaurant. Yeah. I'm fantasizing about it like it's a fucking fix. You know what I mean? I'm like, ooh, that fucking, that steak sounds good, man. I haven't had a steak in 14 days. You know, I'm like, oh shit, man. I'm going to get a steak. I'm going to get a nice fucking glass of wine with it. What am I going to get for the sides? I'm fucking doing this the whole week. In. I'm going back to the menu.
Food's the worst addiction because you have to have it.
You can't avoid it.
You can so easily avoid being around crack, like it's you barely have to make an effort. You barely have to make an effort.
All you have to do to not be around crack is just not ask for crack.
Yeah, I mean it's not everywhere. Like booze is a lot of places.
Yeah.
But I was never a booze person. Like
that stuff as a comic though, you're around booze all the time.
Right, but booze was never my thing. I don't do it because it's not about what I do. It's like once I'm messed up, I want everything.
Right.
So it's like booze would just make... Like I tell people, I abused everything properly. I'm sure that would have been... If they would have served me booze, I would have abused that just as well as anything else.
Yeah. Can I tell you, I felt like an asshole. I worked with you at a club in Suffern, New York.
Yeah.
Rhino Comedy Club.
Yeah.
And I think I was like, hey, you want to get a drink?
No, you should never
when
feel
you
like that.
ask someone if they want a drink and they go, no, I'm sorry, or no, I don't drink, you feel like, you know what I mean? You feel like such an asshole for asking.
Well, how would you know? Yeah, how would you know? And it's, you know.
Yeah, but then your anxiety kicks in. You're like, oh, God, I asked that guy.
Yeah. I should probably just, you know what it is? Because normally I think about, should I say no? But then I don't want them to think I don't want to have a drink with them. Right. So I have to be like, no, I'm sober. So it's not like I'm blowing you off.
But that's where
I'll watch you drink while I have like a ginger ale.
Yeah. That's where my old latchkey kid anxiety of like trying to figure everything out myself, never understanding like where I fit. That's where it comes back as I'm older. I'm like, I don't remember a lot about that night. But I remember asking you if you wanted to get a drink, and you were like, "Oh no, I don't drink." And I was like, "Oh God damn it!" I asked someone who's sober if they want to get a drink.
Dude, I'll do some. I don't do as much anymore. I talk more in my act about being clean and stuff.
Yeah,
I would talk about it in my act, and people like audience members would be like, "Yo, you want to smoke some weed after?" I go, "Dude, I just told you."
No, those are just jokes. Right?
They were like, "Oh, that's for real." I'm like, I go. Let's think about this. If I can make up anything about myself, why would I choose that?
Yeah. I would have looked much better.
But like, if I'm going to make up a quality about myself, I'm going to put out there that I'm an addict. For what? It's just a weird. But you know, I don't. You know, it's not a thing for me. I don't care.
Comedy's good. I mean, comedy's good in that way too. You could retroactively. Because I think when you don't have an outlet like that, you can look back at your fucking weird childhood shit. And you just don't know what to do with it. You go to therapy, sure, but like you don't know what to do.
Therapy from time to time.
But you don't know what to do with it.
What to do with therapy?
No. You don't know what to do with that information, like that history. Sometimes the things that like fucked you up, whether it was addiction or weird things happened to you. Comedy, I think, sometimes helps you work it out a little bit. You know what I mean? Like
could be, but I don't like comics that like treat it like therapy.
Right.
And it's like a therapy session. You're like, dude, you gotta be a little funny. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I thought that was implied. I thought being funny was implied.
No, but sometimes it's like too therapy.
It's too therapy.
It's too therapy. You're like, all right, you don't have to be this honest tonight.
Right. No, but being able, you know, because like when something first happens to you, you can't like sometimes you can't write about it right away. It's gotta like you gotta process it a little bit, and then eventually you can like write about it and like something that's that long ago. Well, when did you start doing comedy?
2004. June of 2004. So it's going to be 20 years this June.
And how old are you at this point?
I am 49.
No. Okay, so you're 29.
Yeah, I was 29. Yeah, 29 when I started comedy.
See, I started doing comedy at very, very beginning of it. First, like open mics and stuff at like I guess it was like 19. Yeah, and that just accelerated I went from my partying days to really quickly, like once I started doing comedy and started working, and I was doing other creative shit and working in advertising. I stopped kind of like partying before I was 21 because I had so much of the partying when I was younger, and I was very career focused. But the drinking just flowed into the career.
Yeah.
Because I would just drink at the shows.
Yeah.
You know?
I know friends that started like didn't do anything till they were in their 20s. Like
Right.
buddies, like dudes I knew that like started working on Wall Street like out of college.
Yeah.
And you get the really good stuff there.
That's where you
And
get
they
the
were
high-end
like,
coke.
Yeah. But like these are like good kids that weren't hanging with us, but they're like, phew.
Yeah, those are the guys that are fucking wheeling and dealing and they think they're living the high life, but they fucking lose their minds because that's the downside to doing the shit when you get older though, because you haven't had you haven't had your bumps and bruises yet, and you just lose your shit as you're older, and you really think you got it under control.
Oh yeah,
I got a job.
Yeah,
you know, I'm doing stand up, and like I guess I was 20. I probably wasn't 19. I think I was 20 because I remember not being able to order a drink at a comedy club at first.
Okay,
and then like soon after, like a few months in, then I was able to drink.
Yeah.
And the drinking just flowed right into the comedy thing, and I just was drinking so fucking much.
It was weird though, starting comedy, not drinking.
Right, by the time you started, you're sober for years.
I'm sober for, it was like 9 years.
Yeah.
So, but like, it's such a social aspect of like, after the shows, hanging with comics, making friends.
Yeah.
Like they're all off. And it's like, I can't do that. You know what I mean? It was, not that it was just a weird wall that was kind of.
Yeah. It doesn't hinder
I did wind up meeting a lot of sober comics that became like close circle of mine. You know what I mean? But like there was some times where like I wish I did a little bit just so I could.
There's more
network.
comics not sober that probably need to be than there are sober comics.
Right, but back then you don't know that when you're new because you're still kind of young.
Right,
and it's like. You know, it's just
doesn't
like a
hinder
different game.
your ability to perform, but it certainly hinders the social aspect. It's a social career.
Aspect. No, because I'd have fun with these guys at the show. We'd all be laughing at the show, laughing at each other's sets. You know, we were new. We were open micer level.
Sure.
But like having fun still. And then they're all like, yo, we're going out after. And they respected me enough to not like put me in a situation like that.
Right.
But I'd be like now taking the train home alone in the city like, I wish I could hang.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you know, it just was one of those things you're like, you know.
You just that's
It is
just
what
an
it is.
aspect of it.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But some of those guys have gotten sober since, and I've helped them out.
Well, that's cool.
But because they,
Yeah.
they knew I was like, hey,
Yeah. How'd you do that?
yeah, comes around.
Like, well, first you need to find a person that's going to rehab that you could act like you're going for that.
Yeah.
You know, and then you're in. Well, Joe, I want you to be able to plug your socials, plug all your stuff.
Joe Fernandes on everything. Yeah, Joe Fernandes with an S at the end. So there's another Joe Fernandes comedian with a Z in Chicago.
Oh, God.
No, he's a nice guy. We should tour together.
Yeah,
Two different.
that's not confusing at all.
Yeah, it won't be confusing.
Who are you going to see? Joe Fernandes?
No.
Yeah.
But if you want to find
Joe
me,
Fernandes on everything?
Yeah.
Website?
JoeFernandes.net. Yeah, I always have my updated dates,
Yep.
and come to a show.
Thanks so much for coming on, Joe. I
Appreciate you
Carmelo
having me.
Carmelo and Joe and all the socials, and this is A Bit Too Much Podcast. It's A Bit Too Much at A Bit Too Much Podcast, everywhere you can find it.